the NIMS system of command, and we'll have a unified command where we will actually be making and considering jointly our stakeholders' perspectives and information as we make command decisions in our incident command system. We'll also have, of course, we understand how to operate in a Braves game. We'll have additional people here. There'll be a lot of national media here and some things that we'll have to consider. So we'll have obviously more staff there. We'll have patrol officers as you always are normally accustomed to seeing, but we'll also have all of our special teams at the stadium, and including SWAT, K9, EOD, and really all the special teams will be helping. Our message really is that the Cobb County Police Department and all of our partners are going to be vigilant, and we take our job seriously. We enjoy our job. It is exciting. It is fun, but we have a job to do, and that's to protect our community and our visitors, and that's what we intend to do. And we feel very confident that we've prepared well for that. So that's really it, except for Go Braves. We're rooting for you, and we appreciate you coming to Cobb County.
Do you know how many more staff you'll have out there? 100? I'm not 100 more, but like dozens more?
I believe we're going to take questions at the end. But I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Bill Johnson, who is the Cobb County Fire Chief.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'll be very brief, and a lot of the things, just like Chief Van Hooser said, I'll repeat it, but just from a fire perspective, with the main goal for us is providing a safe but yet fun environment for the fans who come out for the games during the postseason. You know, so for us, initially, for the bowl or the stadium, inside the stadium, it's going to be business as usual for us. We've had a plan in place that we've implemented for many years, and it has worked. And based on the based on the attendance, and we expect sellout crowds, obviously, every game, we'll have an appropriate number of people inside the bowl from fire to handle anything that we need from a perspective of keeping everybody safe. But additionally, one thing we're going to do outside of the bowl in the battery is, from the division series moving forward, we're going to add additional medical units into the battery from Cobb Fire to just basically assist in what we anticipate is an increased number of EMS calls, or 911 calls into the battery. And one of the reasons we're doing this is in an effort to reduce the workload of the stations around the battery, handle it with people who are down at the battery, with people working down there on these medical units, and letting those units stay in service to handle 911 calls for the community. We're also going to be adding additional fire and life safety inspectors into the battery, and all that's going to be is to assist making sure the businesses throughout the battery aren't becoming too overcrowded. Like we've all mentioned, we want this to be a very fun fan experience, and we want everybody to enjoy themselves. We just need to make sure the businesses aren't allowing too many patrons and becoming too overcrowded based on their occupancy loads. You know, and as we progress from the fire perspective, as we progress through the postseason, based on the number of people we anticipate in the battery, we can increase the number of medical units we're going to staff, the number of fire and life safety inspectors in the battery or in the bowl. And so that'll be a tiered approach for our department based on what we anticipate as far as crowd. And the last thing I'm going to speak about is from an EMS perspective. We have been in contact and in partnership with our partners at Metro Atlanta Ambulance. I just talked to their CEO today, and they're doing basically what you hear up here from the police perspective and the fire perspective, is they're increasing their number of personnel inside the bowl during the games, and yet they're going to increase the number of personnel they have in the battery. And as we tier up based on crowds, they're going to do the same thing and bring in additional response units or transport units, so that as we need more of these units, they'll be able to be on hand to transport people to definitive care should it be necessary. So that's basically all I have to say from the fire perspective. I'll step out of the way, and I think we're going to open it up for questions here in just a minute.
Thank you all so much. Appreciate it.
All right, so if you've got any questions, both myself and Sergeant Delk from the police department will be happy to answer any questions that you might have. So any questions for us?
So just so that I'm clear, is it the Cobb County Police Department that's going to be leading all of this, or will it be the Sheriff's Department that's in charge?
Like you mentioned, we operate under the National Incident Management System, and under that National Incident Management System, it is a unified command. So it is agency heads, department heads from each agency that are making those decisions collectively.
So how, you guys are obviously, you said you guys are adding staff. I mean, what's the number of staffing you guys are adding extra, or at least, I mean, obviously not hundreds, I would assume, because people are being transitioned to 12-hour shifts on some of these days. But I mean, are we looking at dozens of extra officers out there and extra EMS and things like that?
I'll let Sergeant Delk talk about the police department side. As far as the fire side, that we are adding additional emergency medical services personnel as well as equipment there to respond to what we anticipate being an additional amount of 911 calls or calls for assistance that we would receive, as we have seen over the past couple of years while we've had this. We do have a little bit of the fortunate that we've had a little bit of experience over the past couple of years because we've had a chance to do this before. So we're leaning on that experience that we've had, where we understand that the Division Series may not draw as large of a crowd as we saw during the World Series. So we've created a tiered response to that, and we've associated an appropriate number of personnel based on the anticipated amount of crowds, and we're able to expound from that during the course of the postseason.
Yeah, I can add the police department is pretty much the same thing. We have experienced this before. We've been through the World Series a couple of years ago, and also divisional last year. So we actually do have pretty much the same response. We do have additional units that are going to be available and working as well. But this is not anything new for us either.
Julian Virgin, WABE News. Is there an expectation about how many patrons will be in that area over the course of the next 2 games?
We'd love to have that number, but we don't. And so what we do is we tier it based on what we anticipate, and it could be a few thousands to tens of thousands. We don't know yet necessarily.
Is there an anticipation?
The anticipation is we're going to be prepared for full capacity. We're going to be prepared for sellout crowds. We know that obviously ticket sales are through the roof, and we're expecting max capacity for viewership there at the stadium, so we're prepared for that.
So the Braves had said, or told us on Tuesday, that they're expecting 10 to 20,000 in the Battery and the 42 inside the stadium. Obviously during World Series, there would be more in the Battery because there's only so much that can fit in the stadium, but then the Battery will have more than that possibly for later series if the Braves go farther. During some of the other, like in 2021, there's pictures where you see people crowded together. From a fire standpoint, fire marshals, you guys have to be really careful with making sure there are egresses for people to get out.
We do, yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that, of being able to make sure that people have a good time, obviously, but also there's ways for people to still be moving around, because when there's excitement, everyone's crowded together or trying
Absolutely.
to get in. It can be hard to move in there sometimes.
Yeah, and that's where that coordinated effort comes into play. And so we've been working closely with the Braves, the Battery Security, as well as our other public safety agencies to make sure that they're keeping those lanes of emergency access available as well as egress. We're coordinating to have resources closely associated with the most populated areas. Again, those additional resources that we talked about, having ambulances and additional emergency medical services crews available there on the ground to respond specifically to the Battery so that we can assist those, and then having emergency lanes set up to where we have ambulance exchange points and access points for ambulances and emergency medical services, as well as our teams there on the ground.
Before you do deploy those teams, what is the overall message that you leave them with?
For our fans, one, we want
Your teams specifically.
our teams.
Yes, sir.
We're well trained for this, right? We're responding to similar emergencies that we would respond to on a normal basis. Again, we've had the fortunate aspect of, hey, we've done this for the past couple of years, so we've seen large amount of crowds. We've won a World Series here at Cobb County, and we've seen the Battery where everybody's having a good time, and I think we responded appropriately. So we're looking at kind of, hey, we're expecting the same thing. And we're expecting to go all the way and utilize all those resources and implement the plans that we've had in place for the past couple of years. Yeah. Any other questions?
So you've done this, like you said, over the last few years. So what's different? I know they talked about some things like drones, emergency personnel in the Battery, extra units, emergency vehicles in the battery area. Are those the new things?
Some of it is the new things with as far as technology. So we are able to utilize a little bit additional technology to give us kind of that over perspective. Having those drones in the air, we're able to share that to give us quicker access to where there might be incidents that require an emergency response. So that's that technology aspect. We'll let Sergeant Blake answer that.
That's new this year.
Kind of. I'll let
So regarding the tether drone, this is actually something we used last year for the first time. This is a drone that is connected by a rope to a base station, so it is not a free-flying drone like we commonly think about. It only flies straight up and straight down. The drone gives us the ability to provide a live stream, and this is where our team effort comes in, is our licensed drone pilots will actually pilot this drone and provide a live stream so that fire marshals and other government officials can monitor that battery crowd size and make determinations on whether or not maybe an entrance needs to be closed down or we need to limit something. It's just a piece of technology we used last year, saw great success with it, so of course this year we're back out with it.
And you asked a great question about, hey, how are we preparing? And one of the things that we're asking that you do, and as partners with us in the media and sharing that information, is reminding our viewers, reminding the visitors that are coming out here to be patient, have a plan in place. If they should know multiple lanes of exit. If they go into an area, they should have a plan in place of, hey, we're sitting on this side of the stadium. Let's enter here. Well, if we get separated from our group, where are we going to meet up? They can follow us on social media in order to get updates throughout the postseason from us. So there's some things that they can do to be prepared to make this as safe as possible. And then, of course, I'll let Sergeant Delt talk about some of the things that we know from a law enforcement perspective. See something, say something, things like that. So.
That's exactly what I was
Yes.
just getting ready to say. Yeah, the big thing for us is just getting the word out to the public. We're going to have a lot of resources out there and available during the series, but we can't be everywhere. We can't see everything. So the biggest message we want to get to the public is, hey, we're partners with you. If you see something that's out of place, out of the ordinary, looks unsafe, say something. Find an officer, find a deputy, find a firefighter, find someone wearing a uniform and let them know about it, because we can't be everywhere all the time.
Sergeant Dub, with 50 to 60,000 people expected to be there for each game, according to the Braves, between inside the park and the battery, what would you say to people who are just maybe not going into the park but staying out in the battery about safety-wise? I mean, they're going to be safe out there?
Yeah, we have the resources there. We've done this a couple of times, so they are as safe as they can be at any event. The Cobb County Police Department, Sheriff's Office, Fire Department, all of our local partners, local agencies, we have state and federal agencies also assisting. We are available. We're there. They're as safe as anywhere else in Cobb County.
Predictions?
For me,
Brave sweep.
Brave sweep.
Brave sweep.
Any other questions? Good. All right. Well, that concludes today. Thanks, folks. We appreciate
Thanks,
y'all
y'all.
coming out.
Y'all know how to get a hold of us if you have any additional questions afterwards. Don't hesitate to shoot us an email. Thanks, y'all.
All right, so there you have it. You just heard from Cobb County officials. That camera went away, so let me full screen myself there. Basically saying, hey, we want you all to have a great time. We just want to make sure you do it safely. So there are plans in place from multiple Cobb County departments to make sure that safety is at the top priority for them and that you can enjoy your game without having to worry about really not much of anything. Hey, I wanted to take this time to talk about the hashtag that's going around on social media. This is one put out by the Braves themselves, encouraging their fans to get in on Rep the A Day. That's happening today. If you have baseball hat or gear, Braves merch, make sure you pull it out of the closet today, put it on. It's a measure of good luck for our team before they play their first game tonight. Again, as one ATL is going to be that hashtag, and as you can see, a lot of people showing off their Brave spirit, their merch excitement is building for tonight and into this weekend. We hope you'll tune in and follow our coverage on Atlanta News First and Atlanta News First Plus. Have a great weekend.